Hi everybody and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah Macintyre. How are we all? It's the end of another week of craziness working with the spirit world. You may well know, but I'm on a bit of a self-development, trying to take my mediumship to the next level journey at the moment, and it's pretty intense. One of the things that I really strongly believe is that as mediums, we are never done. We're never finished. We're never baked. And so, part of your work is constantly trying to expand your horizons to be able to receive new bits of evidence, new bits of information. So the way that it works is, the spirit world, when they come in, they can only work with the things that we are open to receiving. And so part of your job as a medium is to open up to more and more potentials, more and more possibilities, which in turn enables you to work with more and more different spirits, as well as getting different bits of evidence through, which is one of the reasons why you should never go to a medium with a list of things that you would expect your loved ones in spirit to say, or worse still, a code word, because that's not how it works. How it works is the spirit world are very, very intelligent, and they know the best bits of evidence to be able to get through us for you to understand. And we all have our own limitations within that. So that's what I've been working on. Being me, I thought, why do one course when you can do three? So that's been a pretty intense period since the beginning of the year, and it's just some things are coming to an end now, and it's just starting to slow down again so that I can integrate the lessons and start trying to expand my mediumship further. But it's a funny old thing where you have to surrender and yet try to expand at the same time. It's difficult to spin all of those plates. So today I had one of those what I call spiritual slaps. You'll hear me talk about those. That's when the spirit world wants to bring a lesson to your attention, and the best way to get your attention, it feels to me, it's a bit like the spirit world of Peggy Mitchell, and you are in her pub and she just comes along and cracks you around the face. Get out of my pub. And that's kind of, I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes with some of these lessons. And I know when I first started my healing journey, and there were different elements of my behaviors and things that I was accepting that I shouldn't, that the spirit world wanted to draw to my attention. And it was sometimes very painful indeed, the lessons and how they played out and how I was supposed to learn. And today I've had another one, and this has been, I'm a little bit naive. That's what I think. I think the spirit world is so wonderful, and it's such an honor to be able to work with them. Like, I've got the best job in the world. If you could ask me what I wanted to do, if I could do anything, I'm doing what I would do if I could do anything. And that is sacred work. It's really, really precious to me. And you do it in service to the spirit world, but you also do it in service to the people who are here, the spirits that are on earth in human form, living these difficult lives. And so today, for the billionth time, someone in my VIPs group on Facebook tried to share a live stream of another medium, a very famous medium, far more famous than me, doing a live. And rather than just deleting it, I thought I would have a little look and see what they were saying. And it was just horrendous. So this medium was saying that spirit will be guided in by the person that shares the post the most on Facebook. And she said it more than once. It wasn't a mistake. So she is encouraging people to share, to do her advertising for her as a carrot to desperate people who really want to get hold of their loved ones. And that is not how it works with the spirit world. That's not how it works. Now, I ask people to share my posts. I do, because we need you to. You know, the Facebook algorithm has completely changed now. And unless you get lots of shares, lots of comments, lots of reactions on your posts aren't even shown to the people who follow your page. So there is a need to ask people to follow. Don't get me wrong. You will not see me on my page saying, don't bother sharing this. Of course, there's a need to get followers. There's a need to get shares. There's a need to get eyes on your post. That's business. That's how business works. But never in a million years would I tell anybody who's grieving and needs a message from a loved one that the only way they can get that message from a loved one is if they win some sort of prize as being the person that shares. It's completely unethical. So, and that has really upset me actually. I had to smudge myself and sort out my energy and be a bit silly and mix it up because it broke my heart. I can't believe there are people out there acting like that. So if you're watching a medium and they're doing a live and actually 90% of the live is them asking you to share and 10% is actual spiritual connection, them working with the spirit world, that should tell you everything you need to know. So unfollow. And the other thing is, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again because it drives me balmy. The spirit world do not come and tap me on the shoulder and say to me, Hannah, I'm here. Please message my daughter a text message and tell her that if she rings your premium rate hotline, that I will then be there to speak to her. So if you're unfortunate enough to be on any of those mediums mailing lists where you're getting texts telling you that there's someone in spirit waiting to speak to you, or telling you that they're aware that there's somebody behaving in a way that's underhand and secret, do not ring those premium rate numbers. Those messages are sent to thousands upon thousands of people, and it's a really good manipulation of pressing your button, pressing your fear, pressing your grief, and getting money from you. Now, money is always an interesting thing, and on a daily basis I get some shit from someone online about charging for mediumship. And so I'm going to talk about that as well, actually. I do charge for my mediumship, I do. And I make no apologies for that. I have spent a lot of money and a lot of time to get to the standard of mediumship that I'm at. And I'm continuing to invest in my spiritual development so that I can be the best worker for the spirit world I can be. I have invested thousands of pounds in my own development. You know, yes, your gift is a natural gift, but it's also one that requires finesse and working. You know, there's so many things to think about when you're a medium. It's not just delivering whatever the spirit world say to you. It's about being able to bring that presence of that communicator in, surrendering enough to be able to give the evidence that they want to give. You know, if you're on a stage or doing a live, you know, being engaging enough that people want to watch you. There's all different aspects to it. Aside from the fact that I have website costs, advertising costs, insurance costs, and things like that as well. So yes, I do charge for my mediumship, but I work 50% free and 50% of the time charging. So that's how it goes. So if you haven't got any money and you're desperate to hear from somebody in the spirit world, I understand that it can be frustrating, but I do as many lives as I can, as many opportunities as I can to pass on messages for people who can't afford to see a medium. On the flip side of that, you know, a reading with a medium is, well, mine are £45. Other people in my team, it's £40. You know, I understand that that's a lot of money to some people, but I also don't think that's an unreasonable amount of money. We are not trying to, you know, ruin people. We're not trying to dangle their loved ones as carrots that they have to pay for exorbitant prices. You know, I think that's a fair price for our time and our expertise. And it's one of those things, you know, Yes, it is a gift from God, but vicars do get paid. Just saying. And also, you wouldn't say to the brain surgeon who's been given the gift of incredibly steady hands and has studied hard and worked hard to be the top of their field, to be able to work on people's brains, you wouldn't say to them, well, you've got a gift from God, you've got steady hands, you shouldn't be paid. So I always think it's an interesting take. I do believe that there should be balance. I don't want to be greedy. But I also think that there's nothing wrong with expecting to be paid for your art. So that's always an interesting one where people get really judgmental about it, really, really judgmental. So it's always really interesting. So yeah, so I just wanted to start off by talking about that, be savvy. I know that if you're in real need and your heart is broken, you're desperate to hear from somebody that you love. I know it can seem really hard, and lots of people comment on my live saying things like, I know if you were a real medium, my dad would come through and through you to talk to me. But I've got 1,000 people watching that live, and everybody could say that. So what would your dad do in that circumstance? It's you can't go into these kind of things expecting that your grief is bigger and more important than other people's grief. And I know that's really hard, but that is how it is. There are a lot of people who are very much in need, and a lot of people whose lives would be changed by a message. And it's hard sometimes to be the medium that balances all of those expectations and all of those demands for people. So that's a little bit about that. I did a lovely reading for somebody today. It was just so, bless her. Got her dad and her baby from the spirit world in simultaneously. Her dad had her baby, just came in together like that. And it was just so amazing. I was crying, she was crying. Really, really powerful. It's just so wonderful. And I think having that experience with that love and that comfort, and then her two nans pushed their way into having that experience with all of those beautiful energies coming forward in love for her, and then going online and seeing that medium saying, the spirit world, no, the spirit world are drawn close by your shares. Oh my God, what a crock. What an absolute crock. So that was, that kind of burst my bubble, but I think I needed it because you have to know. And so I'm making a stand and I'm saying, that's not how it works. So that's that. It's one of those things. It's always fun. It's always a new day. Every day's a school day, always learning. And so the other thing I was going to talk to you about today, as requested by my lovely friend Lorraine, is about my shamanic experiences, because apparently I mentioned them when I was gabbling away on my last podcast. So let me talk to you about shamanism. Now, I'm no expert in shamanism, and I want to make that absolutely clear. I did one course that was, 6 weekends spread out over a year. It might have been 5 weekends. No, I think it was 6. And, that makes nobody an expert in anything. And I just want to be clear about that. There are so many people trying to spiritually bypass everything, setting themselves up as experts when they need to integrate the lessons and they need to work hard. You can't study for 3 months and be a medium. It just doesn't work like that. It takes time and dedicated effort. And you can always tell the people who are bypassing it. Anyway, so shamanism. Shamanism, for me, my experience of it going on the course that I went on was incredibly profound, but really interesting to me, because although it's working with ancestors and guides and spirit and those wonderful energies of the spirit world, the focus from my perspective, put my teeth back in, from my perspective, is that the focus of shamanism is about being here on earth, and it's kind of inescapable. So when I went on this course, I kind of thought, we'd do some drumming, sit around a fire, and learn about our ancestors and maybe an eagle hawk spirit guide, and that would be really cool. And it was brutal. My God, it was such a great course, but it was brutal. It pressed every button that I knew I had and 100 more that I wasn't aware of. It was about endurance for me. So it's about being present as a spirit on earth and everything about that it brings up. So I went to Cair Caraine, I hope I say that right, with Lynn Gosney and Bruce Scott. It's on the Isle of Sheppey. And if you are interested in shamanism, even if that's a million miles from you, I absolutely wholeheartedly recommend going there. It's tough love. They are, it's not about fannying around your ego and making you feel good, but you will grow. It's amazing, an amazing place to be. And I did an amazing course with them. I think it's called Pathways. And like I said, it's spread out over the year and it is just absolutely mind blowing. But it is about enduring. It is, I think, so often when we think about the spiritual journey, it's about going up and out of ourselves to spirit. And off I go and I'm with the spirit world and we're floating and it's lovely and there's all this and I'm in the sky and I'm weightless. For me, and this is only my take, like I said, the shamanic experience is here you are on earth, here you are, and here's all your crap you're trying to avoid. Now look at it. Face yourself. Face your weakness. Face the bits of you don't want to look at. Endure, endure, endure. And that's what it felt like to me. And it was so weird because I knew that there was big stuff happening for me. I didn't know that I was going to end up with this crazy following on Facebook and that's where my life was going to be. But I know now that that course was preparation. And it was such a great place to be. There's such genuine, true people. They're so truthful. So one of the things that I really liked about it was that it was shamanism for the earth we were on. So it was shamanism for Isle of Sheppey, Kent shamanism, not pretending to be Native Americans, which really made sense to me. That really resonated with me. If you're honouring the land that you're on, it should be the land that you're on, not some funny idea of shamanism. So that really resonated with me, that kind of approach to it. And they taught me so much. I remember in the first week, Lynn saying, there'll be moments in this where you think I'm a complete bitch, and that's okay. I'm happy with that. I'm strong enough to take it. And I sat there smiling, going, oh no, I'm a wonderful student. I would never think that of a teacher. Fast forward 3 sessions in and I was like, I hate you. I hate you. So yeah, and that wasn't her at all. That was all my own stuff. But yeah, she is amazing, amazing teachers. So for me, it was all about, trying to face up to who I am and face up to my insecurities. And it was just so weird. We did the first session, we were making rattles and offering pouches, and we were sat around this table in this room chatting. Why was that so painful? Why was that so enlightening? Still to this day, I don't know what happened, but I know that some people never came back. And there was so much insecurity rising in me from that. I think when you're exposed to people that are completely well-rounded with who they are and where they're at and their teachings and their place, confident in their connection, but confident in themselves and who they are unapologetically, that did something to me. So that was pretty amazing, just even week 1. But get forward to session 3 and I had this complete, I just didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. And I'm conscious that I don't want to tell you too much in case you do the course, but I will tell you this story because this pretty much sums up my shamanic experience. So I think it's session 3. And every session we've had so far, you know, we've driven there, me and my friend Nina, we've arrived, everyone's chilling around the gate, having a cigarette and talking and making cups of tea. And then Bruce and Lynn have come to get us and said, right, we're going down to do the opening ceremony. And we've all gone down together. Now, this session, I think it's session 4, I've got a real resistance to going. I don't want to be there. I'm crying, I had nightmares for the 2 weeks beforehand. I feel really tired. I think I might be coming down with something. My bones hurt. I just don't want to be there. I'm not in the right space to deal with it. And I think because my friend Nina was driving and she just went, oh, come on, let's just go. I'm driving. So we went. So I was already resisting going. Now, at session 3, they had said to us, we will meet you at 9 a.m. in the hut, in the lodge for the opening ceremony. And then I arrived and not everybody was around. We were chatting to people, and one of the people was missing, and I really projected all my stuff onto the person that was missing. And I was like, where are they? Are they upset? And they were like, oh, she's in the house. And I thought they were saying that she was in the house because she was upset. And I thought she was having some like one-on-one session with Lynn and Bruce to make her feel better. But that was actually because I was upset. Anyway, we're all lingering around, waiting for ages, don't know where they are, all chatting, a few people missing, don't really think a lot of it. And then Lynn and Bruce turn up and they go, right then, we're going off in our cars today, so into your cars, here you go. And we were like, okay. And then we drove in our cars, basically past the end of my road where I live. So I've driven for an hour to get there. We drive back this way, past where I live. And I'm saying, Nina and I are going, well, why have they made us drive all the way to Sheppey if they knew we were coming back this way? What's going on? What's wrong with them? This is so annoying. What's happened? And we get to the Shell Grotto in Margate, which is a crazy place. Look it up online if you've not heard of it. It's like some weird... it was found in Victorian times in someone's back garden, but it's literally like a worship room made of shells that's just under the ground for some sort of worshipping of some deity or another. It's really cool. Anyway, and I'm sulking by this point. You know, we've driven all the way there to drive all the way back to then go to somewhere that I've been to 4 times. What is this? And one of the teachers comes up and says, I bet you're wondering why we made you drive to Sheppey just to turn around and come back this way. And I went, yeah, we were wondering that actually. And they said, well, you didn't turn up for the opening ceremony. And I went, what? And they said, you didn't turn up for the opening ceremony. And I said, yes, we did. And they went, no, you didn't. We had it without you. And I went, well, I was on site. And she went, it's not your job, not our job to baby you. We told you where to be at what time. And you didn't turn up, so that's on you. Oh, God, I was pissed off. And, you know, I already didn't want to be there. And then to have to deal with that when we were on site, we'd driven there to get there to be taught that lesson. That was a tough lesson. It hurt. I was furious. And so I knew they were right on some level, but I also had that it's not fair vibe going on as well. And it was just, oh God, blimey. And then we ended up going to another site, and this site, I mean, talk about the spirit world pressing your buttons. It was 4 minutes from my house. And I was wearing sunglasses and just crying behind my sunglasses. Just couldn't stop the tears coming out. And I was angry. They were hot, lavery tears. And I just wanted to come home. I just wanted to be with my kids and my husband and bin it all off, because what a load of crap. And I don't even know how I managed to stick it out. But that night we got to sleep in the Shamanic roundhouse, and something massive shifted in me. And I woke up the next day and I felt like a different person. And so in that endurance of my anger and my resentment and my poor me, all my ego stuff, it's all ego, isn't it? Came this massive awakening and shift within me. And the next morning Lynn looked at me and went, something's happened to you overnight, because she could just see it, because there'd been such a profound shift in me. And I ended up going from, on the Saturday, being livid about that lesson, to on the Sunday being completely grateful that they had taught me that. So it's that kind of stuff. You think it's going to be sort of going around singing, banging a drum, and there is an element of that. There is an element of working with the grandfather sky, and working with the compass points and all of that kind of stuff. But it's actually, for me, it's about facing up to yourself and facing up to your limitations and pushing through them. But it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But made such a difference to me, completely changed me in preparation for what Spirit wanted me to do. And it was really interesting. We had some amazing chats there. I think they don't really rate a lot of mediums. They don't think they're working in the right energy. And I was perfectly comfortable with that. We could have really great conversations, which funnily enough leads to the beginning of this podcast, doesn't it? Where we're talking about mediums who aren't working in the right energy, who aren't working with the right intention. So they did teach me so much, and I'm so grateful for that course. And I really wanted to do it again next year, but it clashes with some of my dates already. So it's an amazing course, and I highly recommend it, no matter how far you have to travel to get there, because it's just so powerful. But it might not make you grow in the way you think you're going to. And if you want softly, softly, catchy monkey meditation week, it's not the course for you, that's for sure. But if you really want to grow, if you really want to face your inner demons and your shadow, it is incredibly powerful. So yeah, that's my take on shamanism. I mean, we did do other things, but for me, that's the overriding thing that came from it. And I do think, sweat lodges, which is where you sit in the dark. I've never done one. Sit in the dark with extreme heat in a very low ceilinged sacred space, like a little tent with hot rocks. And I do think that's about endurance too. It's about thinking you can't stay, thinking you can't breathe, thinking you can't take it, and seeing if you can manage to stick it out, and what that does to you, your soul, and your belief in yourself. And that's, I don't know, like I said, I've never done one because I don't like being hot. So I know that I would freak out. I can't even sit in a sauna. But I do feel like the rest of the course also brought me to that place, sticking it out even when it got tough, pushing my way forward, even though it was pressing my buttons. It really gave me an amazing gift of myself, and a bit more steadiness in myself to go forward. So yeah, really powerful, really amazing. And I got an amazing drum from it, and some super duper extra healing skills that developed as a result of doing that course and opening up to a different frequency of energy. But yeah, so I hope that makes sense. I'm trying not to say, so I hope that makes sense on every podcast, but it turns out that I do. It's very, very powerful, very, very genuine, truthful work with real integrity. That's how I found Lynn and Bruce. So I do really recommend looking them up. It's Care Karain Shamanic Centre on Facebook. I think that's what it's called. But it's just an amazing place to be, with amazing people with an amazing ethos. And it completely changed my life, and it completely changed my mediumship, even though it was nothing to do with mediumship. But that's the journey, isn't it? Spirit know where you need to be at what time for you. So there we go. That's another podcast done. Please do drop me an email to podcast@hannahmedium.co.uk if you've got any questions or anything you'd like me to cover. I know I have got some emails outstanding to deal with, but I'm also working in the flow of what comes up from me today. So this is where we're at. And I'll send you lots of love and catch up with you soon. Take care.